So when it comes to repairing a crack out in the field, the first thing that you want to do is pretend this is your crack for the sake of the video. You want to terminate the beginning and the end of the crack for starters. So you take a 3/16 bit, no larger than that. This is typically what we use to drill weep holes, but it'll work just fine for terminating the crack. So the first thing you want to do is find the end of it, find the furthest part of it, because you don't want to drill halfway through the crack, because the crack will continue if you don't terminate the crack. So the first step, you get right on the end of the crack, and you just want to drill straight through. Drill through the material at the end of it, and then you want to find the start of it. Do the same with that. Next step you want to do is take your cutoff wheel. Cutoff wheel is probably the best bet for what you're going to do on the 4.5 inch grinder. So what you would do is you take the grinder and you want to grind straight through the root of it, all the way down the length of the crack. Now, if you go a little bit past where you drilled, that's fine. The whole goal is just to V out the crack so that you can get nice penetration into the base material so you can fill the crack in. After that, you want to take acetone, because you're working with aluminum. Don't use lacquer thinner. Make sure you use acetone to have a nice clean weld. You want to either take a rag, try to just wipe the base material, and you're not obviously going to get inside of the crack. Step after that, take the drill bit off your drill. Put a wire brush in. If you don't have a drill wire brush, you can also use a little handheld stainless steel wire brush. What you want to do, you can go ahead and just throw some acetone inside of there, and you can work with that, and you can take the drill and just clean that out. If you have a handheld brush, it'll work all the same process. You just throw some acetone on it, and just make sure you get the material nice and clean. And after that, just finish wire brushing it again. Make sure it's nice and clean. And then at this point you'd be ready to weld it. It's important with the TIG welder, a really common tungsten that you can use that goes really well, a really good electrode with aluminum, is seriated tungsten. It's really common tungsten to use on the material. We use other types of tungsten here, but it's probably the most common that you're going to be able to use on aluminum. What you want to do is obviously you want to be welding with alternating current, but chances are you're probably going to be somewhere around 200 to 300 amps when you're welding this. Maybe on like the corner of the extrusion you might have a little bit more material to work with, and you might have to use about 350 amps to begin the weld. But over the course of it, in the center area of the tube, you're going to be using about 250 amps, especially when it's nice and warm. What you want to do is start ideally where your drill holes are, or where I ground a little bit past the drill hole. You're just going to start there, let it melt in really nice, and then begin to add filler rod. It's really important that you let it start melting before you add filler rod. If you add too early, it's just going to flow over the top of your groove that you created, and it's not actually going to penetrate into where the crack is. It's really important that you do that properly. Wow, buddy. A lot of circumstances you want to leave the weld. In that case, if you were to leave the weld, what you want to do is make sure you swirl off your crater really nice, not to leave a crack in the stop that you leave on your TIG weld.